saw in the previous lesson that an object can have the focus, and only one object at a time has the focus. When a text box has the focus, the text is either selected or there's a cursor flashing in that text box. In this example, I have a data entry form, which is not an uncommon thing to do in a Windows app, but we have several text boxes. And the cursor flashing in a text box might be hard to see as we go from text box to text box. Right now the cursor's in the last name. It stopped flashing, but if I tab, it'll go to the first name text box. You can see the cursor flashing there. And then it goes middle, address line 1, line 2, city, state, zip, home phone, work phone, cell, major, birth date, father's name, last name. And then the focus will transfer to the two buttons at the bottom, submit button, clear button, and if I press again, it comes back to the last name text box. So I've set up the tab order so it all goes in the order that I want, but again, it's hard to see that cursor flashing, especially if I walked away from the computer and maybe I'd clicked on another text field somewhere, such as maybe work phone, and I had to search a little bit to find that cursor flashing. So what I'd like to be able to do is to highlight whatever text box has the focus to make its background yellow, and when a text box loses the focus, have it turn back to white. Here's an example. So now my application is set up so that whatever text box has the focus, it is highlighted in yellow. So I've just changed the back color to yellow on an enter event. And when I tab between these different text boxes, so going from last name to first name to middle, you can see the cursor flashing in these text boxes as I go, but it's really easy to visually pick up where that cursor is or which text box has the focus based on it being yellow. And when I leave a text box or it loses the focus on a leave event, I set that back color back to white, so only one item is yellow at a time. Very simple to do. Let's take a look at how to do that using the enter event, the leave event, and then appropriating the sender parameter as part of our event procedure handler. So here I am in Visual Studio 2017. I have my form already set up in terms of the form1.cs file. I'm going to select each of the text boxes in my form, clicking the first one here for last name, then holding down the control key and simply clicking each text box that I want to select after that. I believe there are 15 total. So now all my text boxes are selected. I'm going to go to the Properties window, and I'm going to go to the Events area, and I'll scroll down to the Events and find the Enter event. And we can see the Enter event occurs when the control becomes the active control of the form. Well, that's when it gets the focus. So I'm going to create an event here called Focus Gained. I'm going to press the Enter key, and now we're over in the Code area, and I can see that I have a stub set up for a private void procedure called Focus Gained, and it has the parameters for sender and E of object and event args. So notice it says here 15 references. There are 15 objects that use this procedure based on an event. So all of those relate to sender, whichever one happens to be the object that handled that enter event. So I know these are all text boxes. I'm going to treat them as a text box. So I'm going to create an instance of a text box named TB. It's going to equal the value of sender cast as a text box. So I'm guaranteeing that sender is a text box in this case, and that helps me avoid any errors and gives me access to all of the properties, methods, and events of a text box in my code in terms of the IntelliSense. So now I can say TB dot, and notice I have access to the back color property. And I'm going to say back color equals color dot yellow. So I'm going to go back to my design. I still have all those text boxes selected. In the events, I'm going to scroll down to the leave event. And you notice the leave event occurs when the control is no longer the active control of the form. In other words, it's lost the focus. So I'm going to call this one focus lost. Press the Enter key. And now I have a focus lost event procedure here. It's basically the same thing as I did in the focus gain. So I'm just going to copy and paste. We're going to access the sender object, cast it as a text box, and then change this back color not to yellow, but to white. And then I'm going to run my application. So now, last name is highlighted in yellow. That's the one that gets the first tab order and that gets the focus. If I tab, it goes to first name, middle, address 1, address 2, city, state, zip, home phone, work phone, cell, major, birth date, father's name, mother's name, 2 buttons, and then back to last name. Just makes it a little bit nicer for our user, a little more user-friendly by alerting them where that cursor is at and which object has the focus.